What is going on, people? Today I will be reviewing Iron Man 2 in 4K Ultra HD. And if you guys didn't check out my actual video review for the Iron Man 2 movie itself, I have already reviewed this. So check that out right up here. And if you like that video and you like this one as well, I do this stuff all the time. It's what I do. So make sure you subscribe, and that way I can let you know when other videos come out. And getting straight into the video quality here. This movie was put through a 4K scan, but it was actually filmed in 35mm. So that means that this is actually a 2K digital intermediate upscaled to 4K. But don't worry about that because this looks great. Right from the beginning, when we are introduced to Ivan, or Whiplash, in Russia, you can tell that black levels here are definitely fixed. And that is something that I just noticed right off the bat. There was kind of a grayish hue to the black levels in the original Iron Man 2 Blu-ray that came out that is not present here, and I greatly appreciated that. As far as the detail goes, it is stepped up from the original Blu-ray, about as much as the other 4K films that Marvel has been putting out and upscaling for us. It isn't the biggest difference in the world, but it is a noticeable one. Primarily in Iron Man's suit. And that is actually in the next scene, where you get to see Iron Man come down out of an airplane to the Stark Expo, and there are just so many machinations and just small details in his suit of armor that wasn't actually there in Iron Man. That is really great. Clarity here is great as well, specifically in close-ups. There are some fine lines and well-defined edges in this transfer. Unfortunately, there is a certain level of DNR happening here that prevents some of the wide shots from being that same crispiness that we got in some of the close and even the medium shots. The scenes in Monaco, in those exterior shots, I do feel like those shots suffer the worst as far as the DNR in this film. It isn't going to ruin anybody's enjoyment, didn't ruin mine, but it is something that I noticed. And when you get into the HDR here, you get a kind of pop that really wasn't in the original Iron Man 2 Blu-ray. It isn't going to blow you away, but it is definitely a noticeable uptick here. As far as just the reds and the yellows of Iron Man's suit, that is something that really stuck out to me here. And whenever Iron Man uses his photon blasts, I do feel like it isn't just like the brightest thing in the world. You're not going to need your sunglasses for it, but it is definitely stepped up from the original Blu-ray. And for that, I am going to give this an 8 out of 10. It isn't the night and day difference that Iron Man was in 4K, but it's still damn good. And let's go right into the audio quality here, because we get a Dolby Atmos mix that is excellent, and it lives up to the pretty great audio mix that was on the original Blu-ray. I have always liked how this movie sounded. Even in theaters, I can specifically remember loving how this movie sounded, and I love it here. I don't feel like it is as good as Iron Man, just because that was just such a bump up from the Blu-ray. It was incredible. Fidelity and overall speaker separation, the field of sound is also, it's all great here, and it is definitely stepped up from that Blu-ray. And bass response is hefty. Not as hefty as in Iron Man, didn't rattle my house, but I would say it's a notch below that, which is still great. And height speaker work isn't the greatest. I heard, again, more in Iron Man, but at times you do hear it, specifically during the end action scene when the hammer drones are flying around. Then that is the main moment where you do hear the height speaker work kick into full gear. And for that, I am going to give this a 8 out of 10. It is still really, really good. And getting into the digital copy here, this is a Movies Anywhere digital copy, which means that you can view this on iTunes and on Vudu in crispy clear 4K. And getting into the special features here, the only special feature that is actually available on the 4K disc is the audio commentary. And beyond that, all of the rest of the special features are only on the Blu-ray. But you do get a pretty substantial amount of them. And one I really liked, the making of this movie is pretty honest. And it really showed how much stress this put on Jon Favreau, our director here. And I really, you see it in him. And it's pretty honest. And I always liked coming back to this just to see it. And kind of keep it in the back of my mind as kind of a reminder of what this was at the time. And then you get a lot smaller featurettes that go into like character motivations and that sort of thing. There are also deleted scenes and trailers. This is a pretty good amount of special features for a Marvel film. I'm going to put it in the middle of the road and give it a 6 out of 10. And as my last looks at Iron Man 2, this movie is pretty problematic. It starts off at a very good place, and it is a pretty steep decline after the midway point of this movie. I feel like this is a good case of studio interference and meddling with a movie that was already pretty stuffed to begin with, and what you're left with is kind of a mess. An enjoyable mess. I do feel like there are things here that I actually love. The whole fight scene in Monaco I adore. But that is at the beginning half of this movie, and I find less and less enjoyment towards the end. And if you didn't watch my video review for Iron Man 2, I gave it a 7 out of 10. And when you add up all my scores for Iron Man 2 in 4K Ultra HD, you come out to a 29 out of 40. That is largely because of the quality of the movie itself and the quality of the special features, I feel like, is where this definitely kind of gets held up here. But if you like this film, you will like this release, and it is a substantial bump up from the Blu-ray. So coming up next on the channel, I do have to talk about Thor in 4K Ultra HD. I will be getting that to you guys real damn soon. So I thank all of you for watching. You guys are awesome. I don't need to say it because you know it. And I will see all of you next time.